and fairness, you get another 3-4 years to do that. You understand? But because they won't allow this, they want people to, they want to rig their own proteges and continue to hide the money they're stealing, like we see with the one. I mean, we see every day. I mean, it's just everything is just a ricochet of not allowing a free and fair election. You know, that's just it. I mean, we have to keep hammering this and stop pretending like people should stop analyzing this fake data, fake election. It's a fake analysis. There's no reason to compare Showore with Tinubu or compare if they can't give a true, if they can't give us true numbers that we can argue on, so that the person who lost can work harder the next time in building a good coalition or a good what do they call it, a body of people to help canvass and win votes the next time. But if they keep manipulating results, there's nothing to. We live in the West. They rely on data for everything. Once the data is manipulated, that's it. You go to Norway, you go to Sweden, you go to Germany, you go, no matter where you go to, it is data. Once that data don't match, forget it. There's nothing you will tell Oyinbo man. 80-90% of the time they rely on data. That is their secret to success. And if you don't, once that data is you don't have adequate data, forget it.
All right. Thank you, Olumide. Man of Prestige. Someone noticed on the comment section that you're the only one here who is not wearing glasses. They wanted to know how come.
Okay. Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Dr. Rudolf, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we have a lot in the menu to choose from. You know, maybe you can start shorting the whole narrative so we can get at least half of the menu, because most of the time when we come here, you enumerated many menu to choose from. Sometimes we don't even get to half of it. But anyway, having said that, I'm not going to talk about what you just portray on this platform that we're going to talk about. I'm only going to add maybe about 2 or 3, but if we get to it, it's all good. I think one of them is the IMS, that is suggesting that Nigeria should, license the cryptocurrency, as part of their policy reform. So you need to read much into that. Whether it's a way or this IMS, if you don't do what they want, they won't borrow you money. And I believe, that's part of what's going on in Nigeria. I mean, we try to get away from this cryptocurrency, and you're telling us to implement it as part of the policy, for Nigeria, not, so it will be like a hub in, for African market. So another thing that I'm going to talk about, I don't know if you hear about the news, the Voice of Africa. I mean, the Voice of Hausa. They say that the Igbo and the Hausa should unite for a common enemy. And who is this common enemy they're talking about? They say because Tinubu government has failed them. So what they are saying right now, that the Igbo and the Hausa should unite against the Yoruba. So my question to them, where were they when Buhari was ruling for 8 years? They never say anything. Now they say the Igbo and the Hausa. But if you look at the space, a lot of people went against that, particularly the Igbos. They call that a nonsense, say that's not going to happen. So that's the Voice of Hausa people, try to create enemy in Nigerian space. Of course, they do that a lot. Then one more thing I may add. Oh, well, you already said it about the Israel and something like that. But when it comes to my turn, I'm going to talk about the UN vote, how America, is pandering to Israel and everything they are doing in that space. So that's pretty much what I have to say on.
All right. Thank you, man of Prestige. Alaba.
Thank you very much. Greetings to all the panelists, Rudolf, Chim, Paul, Olumide, man of Prestige, and Maxi. Greetings to everybody. It's a very good topic you have today. When I have my time, I want to be fully heard. I want to cover it holistically with a 10-point agenda. It borders on 2 topics. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free, and you cannot give what you don't have. That's what it's going to border, and it will point fingers at those of us on this panel, and also those of us who are privileged enough to have some education. That's what my conclusion, because everybody likes shouting Tinubu, 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 Tinubu. But the problems of Nigeria goes beyond just one man. Also, a few topics I think you might have mentioned or missed out. Prince Harry's visit to the defense staff. I don't know if that's relevant to us.
Yes.
The IMF worries over federal government reintroduction of fuel subsidy. If Kweazu transferred 10 billion to 32 accounts, I don't know if you heard about this. Then Niger speaker to marry off 100 female orphans, and then the cyber level taxes. I just thought a few things I've been watching over the week.
Right. Harry's visit. Yeah, I missed that. I have the video. I will play that later. Thank you. Mazi Prince, welcome to the show.
Oh, Dr. Damages, welcome back.
Yes.
We missed you last week.
Gavin Newsom's brother.
I wish. That one is on his own. Pretty much Chim, good morning. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Olumide. Good morning, Man of Prestige, and good morning, Ferreira. For me, what I was watching last week is a whole lot, but they didn't interest me, you know. Auto damages you missed last week because I actually vented on the two people who always troll us on this platform.
I watched it. I watched that part.
Good. Yes, I vented because those two people that I mentioned, they always troll us on this platform. And the good thing is that the rooster is coming home to roost. It's now clear to everybody that we are in a dead crisis, a big problem going on. Alaba has mentioned most of them. For me, didn't make any meaning to me. Not to me, not really. But I think the one that's kind of like it didn't surprise me, but it's becoming very clear that they want to tax people to a kill. You know, in Lagos State now, some of the local government they've introduced radio and television levy not on the stores. Before I know it used to be stores. Now residential homes are being levied. You know, I think they said it's about 4,000 or 5,000 that they have to pay to a particular private companies, you know, attached to the local government. And none of them were being informed. It just came out and they're already starting to enforce it now. Another one that also interests me is the stand with the Chim's people. Chim Canada surprised me this morning. You know, on international stage when you talk about them agreeing that Palestine should join the United Nations fully as a member. It surprised me. Yeah, it surprised me. You know, it was being orchestrated by Hungary, and now Canada bought into it. So I don't know. It's a good thing. I like that, but it's a drama that we'll see playing out. You know, and then Yindeba, 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 Yindeba.
All right.
Rivers State,
I was going to add.
Rivers State is not a very clear drama stage, you know, because now I heard that the seats have been declared open by courts. So let's see what's gonna happen.
Chim, what do you want to say?
I was going to add. There was a news article said that Tinubu's son has a seat on one of Chagori's organizations, and that's what is influencing the award of those contracts to the company that Chagori runs for this thing. So, and then somebody, you know, I think it was Ruben Abati on Arise TV, was justifying why Tinubu's son Sheyi can sit on the board and there's nothing. So maybe we might, if we have time, want to chime in on that particular issue.
So, Chim,
Excuse me, Chim. I think there's a clarification on that. I mean, he was a board member he was a part of the ceramic company. You know, that's a subsidiary to that. I mean, he has been a board. Hold on. He has been a board member for that in a long time. I'm not here defending that, but he has a right, you know, to be, you know, to own that company or to be a membership. So I mean, I can see where people say conflict of interest, but this is the position he has occupied for a long time. So let's just put that in mind.
Okay, nice. I wouldn't want to let the cat out of the bag early enough. So just that issue, I wanted to bring up that topic if it's something we would like to consider.
For right. Man of prestige, I just want to add that before you even wait, I was going to ask, see, for how long do you know that he has been a board member? How do you know that that was not done to cover the fact that they were going to embezzle
I don't have any data to back up what I said, but it was said by numerous,
see, that place is a shite hole.
Media in Nigeria. So
they may have done that to just cover up the financial impropriety that would have been going on through that award of that contract, because they know people will raise eyebrows and ask questions, and maybe to cover their own part of the deal. I mean, that it's just a shadow. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Olumide, what is important, whether being there for a long time or not being there for a long time, is that when they want to award the contract, did they throw it open for everybody to bid for it? That is the most important question.
A lot of anomalies.
You understand? If you throw it down, then you said, okay, Julius Berger bid for it. This one bid for it. This one CC bid for it. Different organization bid for it.
Problem, Paul. Right.
Then it will be more transparent. You understand? We understand why this one won the contract. But a situation where your son is a board member and his own company won the contract and nobody actually bid for it, or if actually people actually bid for it, there is no transparency and accountability.
What I'm even saying is that
it just makes it a laughing stock.
Yeah, but what I'm even saying is that for how long has he even been a board member? Even if they want to use that as a defense, how do we know that it wasn't recently for the purpose of covering up their tracks or their own personal benefits? You understand what I'm trying to say? From that transaction. So until they do a thorough forensic investigation. See, all these things can be, this is just pure. I mean, you don't have to be a policeman to, all these people just commit secondary school, illiterate way of fraud. It's illiterate way of fraud. It's just unfortunate that they're taking a chance for a ride.
All right.
It's just.
Thank you, guys. Let's watch a video and then we'll go into the first conversation. I'm sorry, I was told that I have too many videos in the studio. All right, we watched a video of Maitama Sule talking about this issue of the international players, international community trying to stop Nigeria. I think it's a new excuse. It's a new propaganda that people are putting up now to justify what is going on in the country, the fact that our leaders are not able to govern. Let's watch.
Began in 1986 when we did the structural adjustment program. When we were persuaded to devalue our currency every week for 32 years. When I went to school, and many of you are here, the Naira was $1.50. The Naira was almost £1 They came here, persuaded some brilliant men from Harvard and the World Bank that weekly devaluation was wonderful. 32 years of devaluing your currency until we hit 527. And they were still telling us that the Naira was still overvalued. That brought poverty, misery upon us. Then interest rates went to 30%. So nobody could build a factory, start a farm, produce anything, or create jobs. Because every time you bring in a shipload of rice, you also bring in a shipload of unemployment. Because you are transferring your wealth to sustain other economies. Somehow, Nigerians didn't notice it. So we became a nation of importers. Toothpicks. Each year it cost us $18 million. Importing toothpicks. Tomato pays $400 million. So you talked about tomatoes now. One basket in town now is less than 2,000 naira. The farmers are losing money. because the processors don't have enough funds to set up factories. They are going to do tomato paste. It's food-grade stainless steel. You can't just use anything because you'll be putting poison in people's.
All right, let me stop it there. I didn't know the music was part of this particular video. Okay, so this idea...
Doctor, please, just 1 second. So you made a little bit mistake. You said my time Sule is Audogbe.
Oh, that's Audogbe. Yeah, that's true. There was one by my time Sule long ago that I wanted to play. Yeah, this is Audogbe. You're right. So this is not a new idea, that what is happening to us is not in our hands, in our control, that this is something that some outsiders are forcing us to do. So the question is, why are they forcing us to do it? Why are our leaders doing what they are being forced to do when they know it's not good for us? Or is it, do people here believe that this is the idea of what Tinubu came with? That is, he promised to come to deliver this kind of leadership. And is this what he did in Lagos? There are people now who are going back to look at Tinubu's time in Lagos and his accomplishment. How did he accomplish that? He always talked about how he increased the revenue of Lagos, basically by taxing people. And why are people surprised that he's finding new ways to tax Nigerians? So let's have that conversation in the context. Now, for those who have not looked at the news, the leading stories are that Nigeria's currency has become the worst again in the world, and that oil subsidy, the new subsidy, which they've been denying, IMF is saying that we are going to lose almost half of the revenue in oil in paying for the new subsidy that we are paying for now. So the vice president came out and said, oh, we are implementing the policies of Atiku and Obi, so you people should not complain that it's not going well. All right, Chim, over to you.
Okay, so once again, thank you, Rudolf, for having me, and good morning, good afternoon to all the other panelists, and greetings also to the people on the chat. So 2 things I will try to talk about. I'm going to separate Tinubu's time in Lagos versus his policies in national governance. There are 2 different things. But of course, yes, looking at his performance in Lagos State as the first basis of my contribution, he hasn't, for those who have measured him and have followed him, the fact remains that if you look at his economic policies, like I kept saying, when I say this, people who are not rational don't seem to listen. Number 1, infrastructure-wise, Tinubu didn't do anything in Lagos State. Let's be honest. The bridges we see in Lagos, the flyovers we see in Lagos, these are federal projects when Lagos was the federal capital territory. So Lagos has always had an edge. Now, there's nothing to be jealous about that. It is what it is. Lagos used to be federal capital territory and funds were invested. The days when Gowon said it is not the money that is the issue, but how to spend the money. So Lagos was one of the beneficiaries of that spending of the money in terms of the Third Mainland Bridge under Babangida, and then, Kata Bridge and all the other bridges. And of course, what Tafawa Balewa's government did during the first era of civil rule. Now, when this man came, he increased the IGR without necessarily increasing or improving business in terms of creating industries, creating opportunities, and all that. Compare him with other governors in other places who did similar things, but do not have that advantage of being in the front burner for their state to be evaluated the way Lagos State is evaluated. The only thing he did was find out the loopholes embedded where people were not paying taxes, plug those loopholes, and then force people to pay taxes without necessarily giving people essential services. Those of us who live in the Western world, we know that no municipal government or state government will be increasing taxes without letting you know the benefits that you will derive from those taxes. For instance, it could be in terms of the fact that they're going to build more roads. Maybe they're trying to build new access roads somewhere, and that's why they will justify that these new projects they are trying to embark on is why they are increasing your taxes. Maybe, for instance, in the Calgary where I live, they want to build we have the blue line and the green line train that we follow, and they say they want to build the green line. Now, they don't have enough funds, so they are increasing property tax or increasing something to be able to fund that project. In Tinubu's own case, houses still do not have pipe-borne water. People still do not have good roads. In fact, we've forgotten that under Tinubu, he didn't tar roads in Lagos State, and the excuse was that Lagos State funds were being held by the federal government. Do you know what he did? He built Lagos State roads, tarred them as much as they could, and then on the ones he tarred federal roads, they put signages that said, "Please endure with us. This road belongs to the federal government." I lived in Lagos. I saw those things. I'm not telling you what I was told. So I think he doesn't know anything beyond increasing taxes. And he brought the two men who were helping him accomplish that thing in Lagos State and has made them one central bank governor, the other one minister of finance. It's the same template. He doesn't know more than it. Now, as per whether he is being blackmailed, I'm one of those who has the conspiracy, and I agree it's a conspiracy, that the things that the Western world wanted to accomplish in Nigeria for many years, they have not been able to accomplish because we've had some measure of governance that have pushed back. Obasanjo pushed back a lot, even though he was the darling of the Western world, but there were things he pushed back on. He didn't allow the Western world to make him do. For instance, setting up a military base in Africa, in Nigeria, Obasanjo has always been against it. But yes, he would align with them when it comes to economic policy. For instance, when he came in and he needed to clear Nigeria's debt, he was giving conditions on what he would do. And one of those conditions are the things injecting some Western Bretton Woods experts into his government, which he did. I'm not going to mention names. For those of us who can use our tongue to count our teeth, you know where I'm going. He brought those people, and of course, it helped him in accomplishing that goal. Our debts were forgiven because he did some of those things. People like Linda Chalker, if we know who Linda Chalker is, are people who influenced him. So, but in the case of Tinubu, this man neither has international clout. Let's not forget about all this whole city boy thing that they call him. The guy, nobody knows him. If there's anything they know him in international communities for the wrong reasons. He's being held, colloquially by the blockers, by this international community. And of course, because I've been of the view that if there's a time that Nigeria will fall into those things, it's under a man like him, because there's a lot of dossier on him. So it's not impossible that they will say, okay, we've done you this favor, we've covered this thing. If you don't do this for us, we will do this. And of course, for that kind of person who will grab it, snatch it, he doesn't care. All he knows is I'm one president. He will do whatever they want to do. I'm yet to see him push back on issues. And one of the things that told me that he cannot do that pushback was the Niger crisis. I mean, Niger was saying we want France out. The way our own president went about it told me that this guy was a clear-cut stooge. So I think personally, if, it's a conspiracy, I agree. I may not have my hard facts, but I think if they're holding him to the balls, as it were, to implement certain economic policies, I will agree.